Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday morning. It feels like I should still be at home on the weekend. It didn't feel long enough. Um, my hair looks like I'm supposed to be still in bed, so hang in there with me. We'll get through Monday too. Um, but today we're going to work on lesson 23, problem set and concept development together. And we're doing an extension, a carry on of last week's lessons where we're going to practice our division skills, but our answers are going to go to 2 digit and 3 digit quotients today, which means our dividend, our starting number is going to even be larger because uh, our answers are going to be larger. So it's just going to be more challenging today. Words are hard this morning for me. I've already started and stopped this recording probably 3 or 4 times. I'm not going to do it again. This is my last go. If I make any mistakes, it is what it is. So let's roll with it. Um, I got a case of the Mondays for sure. All right, so let's jump right into it and let's get into lesson 23. All right, well, let's just practice one together before we get into the problem set. So 6,247 divided by 29. Now, we're still going to use that divisor. Oh, that's a bad highlighter color. We're still going to use that divisor to help us estimate and round, or round and estimate, I should have said. Man, I told you words are hard today. We're going to round and estimate to see where we can get to. But first, let's go ahead. We think that's about 30, just to help me, um, my brain, so that I don't have to think about it every single time I need to round and estimate to help myself. I'm just going to count by 30s. And if I need to, I'll just count by 3 tens, and then I'll just place the tens, the zero to place the tens place, or hold the tens place. Wow, words again are very difficult. So I have 4 groups. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. Let's make 5 groups of 3 tens. Um, let's go ahead and see what we can do here. So let's go ahead and 6,247. Whoops, that's not a 7. And that's our dividend. It goes inside the den, and we're dividing by 29. Now, 29 has 2 digits in it. So when we first start looking at the place values to in the dividend to start breaking it apart and dividing equally, and I'm starting with the 6 in the thousands place, right away I know that's not enough thousands to divide equally across 29 groups, because I'm going to need at least 29 to at least do it equally once. So I'm going to have to extend my thinking into the hundreds place. So now I'm looking at 62 hundreds. Now, if I think about over onto my multiples counting by 30s, how many groups of 30 did I think I could possibly get out of 62? Well, if you look at we already did all the hard work. It was 2 groups of 30, but we weren't working with 30s. We were working with 29s. So we have to think about what 2 groups of 29 is. Well, some of you might be able to do that in your head, because 29 is one less than 30. Well, there was 2 groups, so it should be 2 groups less, or 2 less than 60. But you can always set it up and solve for it. Yeah, 58, 2 less than 60. So let's go ahead and subtract that. My 2 groups of 29, regrouping the top to subtract. I'm left over with 4 remaining. 4 remaining hundreds is smaller than 29 in my divisor. So I know that I'm done um, dividing equally. So now I need to work on taking my next digit down. And the next digit is the 4 in the tens place. So now we're working with 44 tens. Well, if I look back over to my group counting of 30s, well, 62 groups would be too much. So I'm going to go back to one group, and it's going to be 29. I'm going to subtract that because one group is 29, right? So now we're going to subtract it. Remember, you can't use these numbers. Those were just our estimates to help us think of which starting point to use, how many groups to try to start with. So don't use those actual numbers. So 314. And I apologize because words are hard today, so I feel like I'm not doing a great job of explaining. So hopefully it's a little smoother on your end than it feels on my end. All right, so 15 in my remainders, 15 remaining tens. That's less than 29, so I know that I'm done doing equal groups. And now I can bring down the 7 from the ones. Well, now I'm working with 157 sevens. Or, oh, wow, 157 ones. Well, even if I went up one more group, I think it's the 150. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different groups. Let's do 29 times 5. I'll do it over here. And we got 45, 145, looks like. Well, let me just scroll down a little bit to be able to subtract that. Let's see what our remainder is. If it's smaller than our divisor, we know we're done. And it is smaller than our divisor. There's no more digits in the dividend to pull down, so we know we're done with that. That means those 12 are actual remainders. So our quotient is 215. Our remainder is 12. And if you wanted to put it as a fraction, and I'm not going to make you do it anymore because I feel like we're starting to really understand what those parts are. It looks like that. Now we need to do a quotient times divisor plus remainder. Now this is where it gets a little harder because when we were first doing our checks, it was pretty straightforward when it was a single digit quotient. We were only multiplying by single digit, but now we're multiplying multi-digit multiplication. In this case, the quotient's 3 digits, 215. The divisor's 2 digits, so 3 digits times 2 digits plus 12. Well, I don't know about you, but I do not know what 215 times 29 is. So I'm just gonna have to set it up and solve for it. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 4 is 13. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 1 more is 19. Place my 0 to work with the tens. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 1 is 2, plus that 1 is 3. And 2 times 2 is 4, 5, 3, 2, 6, 6,235. Plus 12. And that would be 6,247. Check. Beautiful. All right. Now students should be coming in any second, so I'm gonna pause this video. I'm gonna finish the problem set while they go off to, I believe it's art today, and I'll see you soon. All right, I got our alpha friends down to Mrs. Stroop for art, and let's get into some more division. Let's take a look at our problem set. Okay, let me zoom in here. Oh, my one window's in the way. All right, get our names on these. And it says divide and then check using multiplication. Now, there's probably not a lot of room for us to do all the work. So let's do one from each row. So A or B. Let's pick B, C, F. Whoops. Let's see the next page. And let's do 2 and 4. So, all right. I'm going to do A with you though. So you're going to do three standard algorithms division, problems on your own, and then 2 word problems for today's problem set. All right. So let's go ahead and just set this expression up as standard algorithm. Put the dividend inside the den, and 23 on the outside, the divisor on the outside. Now, I'm just going to help myself. 23 is about 20, so I'm just going to help myself by counting by my multiples of 20 real quick, all the way up to 80. Make sure that looks like an 8 so I can actually read it accurately. Now, remember, 23 is a 2-digit number, so starting in the thousands place is probably not going to work because thousands only has 4 in the thousands place. Well, we can't divide that equally across 23 groups. But if we expand it to our hundreds and we think about 48 hundreds, yeah, that's larger than 23, so we definitely can do it. Well, the question would be, how many groups should we try to start with? Well, that's why we count by our multiples on the left-hand side real quick of our estimation. Remember, we can't use that number. We have to use the actual number, but that's just to help us give a starting point. 48 is closest to 40, so I'm going to use 2 groups to start with. 2 groups of 23 is 46. I'm going to subtract to see how many remaining hundreds I have. Well, that should be 2 remaining hundreds. 2 is less than 23, which is my divisor, so I know that I'm done dividing. Now, oops, I didn't mean to bring that question mark out. Now I move on to the rest of my dividend, and we go one place at a time. Now we bring down the 5 of the tens place, and our new number that we're working with is 25 tens. Well, 25 is larger than 23 or greater than 23, so we can take at least one group out of it. We know we would need 46 for 2 groups, so it's definitely one group of 23 we can take outside of this. And when I subtract that, again, I'm left over with 2 remaining, but this time it's in the tens place, so we're left over with 2 remaining tens. Now I can bring down the 9 ones, and now we're working with 9 ones. And 29 is larger than 23, so again, I know that I can take at least one equal group out of it. And if I take one equal group out of it, I'm left over with 6 remaining ones. There is no more digits in the dividend to work with, so that tells me that we are done. That's our quotient is 211. Our remainder is 6. And if we were looking at that as a fraction, it would be 211 with 6 over 23. Hold on real quick, I got a phone call. All right, let's do the check. Remember, that's quotient times divisor. I put that in parentheses because we have to do that first. Then we add our remainder. So 211 times 23, 336, 0224, okay. 3, 5, and I'll get this out of the way. 4,853. This is why I only picked one problem from, plus 6, which would be 4,859. That is accurate. Great. You can see why I only am going to choose one problem for each to give you guys enough space to work. So that one worked. I got my check mark. Now, go ahead and do B on this page, BCF, I'm sorry, to BCF, and then 2 and 4 on the word problems. I'm going to pause it right now and go ahead and do those problems for you to check. All right. See you soon. All right, let's check your work. Take time to pause while I stop at the problem that you're checking. And go. All right, I'm still recording, guys. Actually recording right now. I should have said that before I pressed resume, but people are going to just check their work real quick. Check your work, check your work. And now go to your exit ticket.